Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video, I'm going to be taking a look at the stage and stream schedule for the upcoming European Fan Festival for Final Fantasy XIV. It wasn't that long ago that we were going over the North American news, and now we are just a few weeks out from the European Fan Festival. That will be our next deep dive into Dawn Trail news, find out about new jobs, new areas, some new lore, all sorts of little tidbits. Maybe a raid series reveal of some kind. Speaking of which, I have a theory that I'm going to unhinge a little bit in this video, because I had this theory after North America, after one little comment Yoshi P made, and I put it back in. There wasn't a lot to go off of, but some of it's come true because of what we've learned about this stage and stream schedule. So I'm feeling a little excited now, so we definitely got to talk about it, and that's because of the very special guest present that it mentions right here. So without further ado, let's check out the schedule. So first and foremost, where to watch. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Twitch. It's October 21st, October 22nd. Now, bear in mind that if you're in North America like me, the schedule for this is going to be rough because, we got to remember that it's going to be like morning into the evening in Europe. So, we're several hours behind over in North America. So this is going to be one that kind of feels like waking up for the standard live letter more than anything else. So day one, 2 a.m. Pacific. Opening keynote. After North America, I shouldn't have to describe this to you. This is where pretty much all of our Dawn Trail news is going to come. So it is the single most important thing from all of the different stage events that are going to be taking place. So that, don't worry, if you don't want to get up in time, I'll be covering that as always, but I'm tired already thinking about it. 2 a.m. again, I'm used to that from the live letters, but it is what it is. That's the opening keynote. Very important. Now, the next thing is the opening ceremony. That's where they bring on all the attending guests, the development team, the operations team, and they just kind of set everything up for, the rest of the event. About 30 minutes after that is the development panel, and they are going to be joined by, Yoshi P is going to be joined by members of the development team to talk about all things environmental in this development panel. So they have Masato Shida and Tatsuya okay, oh man, I can't pronounce this right now. My mouth is watery. I just ate before this. Tatsuya Okihisa. So they're basically going to be going over making areas, fields, dungeons, towns. How are they all designed? So that should be an interesting one that will be available in both English and Japanese. Now we have Who Wants to Be a Gillionaire 2. So for those who don't know about Who Wants to Be a Gillionaire 1, your boy right here was on Who Wants to Be a Gillionaire 1. Honestly, was a ton of fun. And everyone around the world who watched it at the last fan fest that was at Endwalker, the digital fan fest for Endwalker, all said the same thing. The Japanese crowd wanted more of it. The English crowd loved it. Everybody seemed to love it. So I'm so glad to see they're bringing it back. It's basically two teams. It doesn't say if it's teams of creators or if it's just teams of players or if it's development team. They don't specify here, but they just go head to head in an instance and they see which one of them can defeat it first when they queue in at the exact same time. And it was a lot of fun. We just got to mess around and talk a little bit of smack. But the big thing is, when you beat the fight first, all that does is earn you the ability to answer a trivia question first. So you get first shot at getting the right answer, which if anyone's watched Family Feud, sometimes you don't want to be the first one guessing. But in this case, it's A, B, C, D, pick a choice, there's just not a whole lot of options to go with. But it was so much fun. I recommend going back to the Endwalker Fan Festival and watching the pre-recorded performance, and I'm hoping this will be just as fun. Love seeing them bring it back. It's only going to be about an hour. It's also at 7 a.m. So if you wake up before 7 a.m. Pacific, you could catch it, I suppose. But, if not, catch it later. It's a worthwhile watch. Then we have Welcome to Naoki's Room, and this is where I got to unhinge a little bit, everyone. I'm so sorry. Yoshi P will be joined by special guest, Final Fantasy series founder, Hironobu Sakaguchi, to chat about his adventures as a warrior of light. In the second half, we will host a Q&A session to answer your burning questions. So there is a link where you can submit questions until September 18th, Monday, September 18th. That's a week from when I'm recording this video, and almost a week from when it's actually releasing on my channel. Keep the questions concise, limit each post to a single question. This will allow other players to simply hit like on the post and show their support and help us prioritize questions. So I predicted Sakaguchi would be at the European Fan Fest, but for a very different reason. And I had kind of shelved it because my reason had no merit. In fact, there's proof against my theory. I predicted that when Yoshi P was talking about the raid series, he was hinting that Sakaguchi was going to come on as the guest developer for said raid series. The reason being, they were talking about the 24-man series for Dawn Trail, said there's been a lot of really positive reception for the Endwalker 24-man series, the Myths of the Realm, and said that the next one would be even more Final Fantasy feeling than Aglaia, Euphrosyne, and Thalia. And I was like, oh man, they were very specific about it being more Final Fantasy. Wouldn't it be something if Sakaguchi was actually the guest developer? I mean, he loves 14, he tweets about it all the time, but he's also publicly stated he would never want to work on Final Fantasy 14 because he doesn't want any of the games spoiled for him before it comes out. He wants to be like every other player. He doesn't want to be treated as someone who has, you know, knowledge on the game, insider knowledge. He wants to be able to share that raw experience with people. So I kind of wrote it off because I knew he didn't want to work on the game. But then I thought, what if it's just a misdirect? And now he's attending Europe, and I was like, you know what? If they're going to announce the 24-man series, it's going to be at Europe. If Sakaguchi's a guest there, that's what my prediction's going to be. I have to go back into that. I have to return to guessing that because it's happening. I predicted it correctly. So how can I not go back into my prediction? Even if it's wrong, I don't care. Even if he's just there because he wants to be there and they want him on as a guest. Come on! Like, how can I not go back to that prediction when I've already thought about it? So yes, there's going to be a Q&A. He's going to talk about his time as a Warrior of Light. And yeah, that's happening. And that will be translated. That'll be in English and Japanese. So don't worry, there will be a live translation. Now, there will be the piano performance by Keiko. She's going to be doing the piano concert like she did at North America. This will, again, not be streamed. Soken has stated that these aren't not being streamed, double negative, because it's musical performances. It's not being streamed because he doesn't trust being able to get the audio settings completely correct. So he said that if they could get them correct, he would actually like to stream the concerts. That gives me hope that maybe the Japanese Fan Festival will have these streamed, but there's no guarantees. That's just what Soken has said. But this one will not be broadcasted again. So if you're not going, you won't get to enjoy it. I heard it was great from the people who attended North America, but we'll just have to wait and see, or just remember the ones that we do have on the internet, especially Lahi. Anyway, that's going to wrap up day one at noon Pacific. Oh my goodness. Regardless, it's funny because it's telling us the times in Pacific. It's not going to be streamed. It's just doing that because it's on the North American lodestone, but it's funny because it's like not relevant to us at that point. So then day two. First thing to note, there is no letter from the producer live. This is because the patch should be out early October, most likely October 3rd, and Criterion should be out, honestly, just days before this. So there isn't really anything to talk about for a live letter. So they're skipping that, and they're doing another segment they do sometimes, a stroll with Yoshi P. And Sakaguchi is going to be just taking on enemies from Final Fantasy XIV that are references to earlier Final Fantasy games. That is also going to be translated, and he's going to be talking about stories and anecdotes and content from the Final Fantasy series, as well as a peek behind the scenes with stories from the game's development. And we actually know a lot of those stories publicly. It's going to be interesting to hear what he says versus what we think we know already about a lot of those things. The Crystalline Conflict Regional Championship for Europe and Oceania. If you missed the one for North America, it was awesome. So the one from Europe will once again be awesome. I highly recommend tuning into that if you're awake at this time. So, and if you're attending, I highly recommend going to it, because even if you don't like playing PvP, it's a great, great event. And it's a lot of fun. And it's very exciting. Then we have the actual Glamour Walk. That's at 7:30 a.m. Pacific. Cosplay Walk went really well at North America. There were some hilarious things that went down there. I just still remember the Loprit one where it was like one guy like crab walking as two Loprits holding a box or something. And I have nightmares, but it was great. And there was a lot of great cosplays on the stage. I expect to see 10 times more Grahas and 10 times more Minfilias. And we saw a lot of recurring themes. The last one, you know, we saw Vana, we saw Emmett. It was just a lot of those. But I'm also curious to see what other things pop up when it comes to the Cosplay Walk. That's going to be at 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific. Then there's going to be the Cheering Choice. Show your unwavering support and vote for your favorite answers to some not-so-serious 14-related questions, either by cheering at the show or voting on the live stream. That's weird because that's only 30 minutes. I guess it's just filling time until the Primals concert. So I'm not 100% sure if this is kind of like a reference to the timeline thing they did at the North American one. I think it was Realm Revisited or something like that. But, I mean, that's going to be another thing. That's at 9:30. And then the Primals concert, which also won't be broadcast. And that's going to cover all of the European Fan Fest. Yo, if the Sakaguchi... Like, listen, don't get me wrong. Just because Sakaguchi's working on it doesn't mean it's automatically a good raid. But as the father of Final Fantasy and someone who is a big part of my life in terms of, you know, where I am now and what I do now and my interests, I can't help but be excited. There's also Fantasian, his most recent game that was locked to the Apple Arcade. It showed up on Steam DB, so I'm hoping we get news about that soon. So it's looking like another good Sakaguchi time. That's all I'm saying right now. Anyway, let me know what you think about my little prediction and anything you're hoping to see specifically from the opening keynote in the comment section of the video below. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and I'll keep you up to date on everything 14 as I always have. Until next time, however, enjoy your day and take care.